Alright, so I'm just going to talk to you today about the fact that some potential buyers for my car decided to try and pull a scam on me, and I want to show you what that is and how to be informed about it and avoid it. So first of all, if you come here, you can see in the exhaust the remnants of oil. So what they actually did is they put oil up the exhaust, and then that burns off, and when the engine's warm it starts smoking. And then you've got the same on the other side up here. Okay, and now if I just come around and open the bonnet, they'll spike the bonnet as well. So while you're distracted, or if like me you're an idiot and you don't watch them while they're looking at it, I'm not going to do that again. Particularly if there's more than one person, don't leave them unattended. So one of the things they'll do is put oil in your coolant. So if I actually open up the cap, take a few turns, and they do this quite quick, so they've got faster moving hands than I do. If I just poke a tissue in there, you can see they've actually just poured oil in there. They just pour used diesel kind of engine oil in there, and then just it sits on top of the water. So later when the car's smoking, they'll look at the coolant and tell you, oh, there's oil in your water. Probably means it's a blown head gasket. And in my case as well, they've also just chucked oil everywhere. So let me grab the phone because I know where to look. Down inside the actual exhaust manifold, I don't know if can we see it. They've chucked oil down the side anyway, down there. I'm not sure if that's coming up too easily. The other thing they've done is under the actual top here, they've chucked oil all over the injectors, and you can actually see, look, there's oil at the top of the injector. Like, you don't leak from rubber. There's only one way oil's going to get on top of anything, and that's if somebody put it there. So yeah, they're going to just put oil potentially on the engine as well to tell you it's leaking. And what they're doing is they're basically just painting a scenario where it becomes apparent there's something wrong with your car, and then as a seller you panic and you're like, oh dear, I'm screwed now. I was hoping to get some good money for my car, but now I can't. And then they'll probably tell you that they've got a crash damaged car or something, and they were going to do an engine swap anyway. In our case, this is a high mileage car. It's like 160,000 miles, but it still runs very nicely. And it kind of paints a very plausible scenario. So you've got a high mileage car, and then suddenly something goes wrong, and now you're going to lose a load of money. You're going to have to sell it cheap, and they'll offer to buy it spares and repairs. And normally the seller will agree to do that because actually they're then helping you out. So it's theft with a smile. That's what scamming is. That's what a fraudster does. They steal from you and make you feel good about it. In my case, I thought it was a bit suspect because actually when you have a blown head gasket and you get water in the coolant, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like engine oil. It just looks like very dirty coolant. You don't see the oil float on the top like that. So I thought that was a bit suspect. And I've got CCTV as well, which was watching them the whole time.
Thank you.
So yeah, I thought, rather than just accepting on them, I will take my time, review my CCTV, and call some garages as well, and just see whether or not, they're pulling my leg. And I'm glad I did. I didn't sell them the car. I've got the police involved, waiting for them to come over. Hopefully they do something about it and catch them. I'll share some other videos as well in the description, but this has happened to more than just me. And I think it's important that we get the word out, let people know, make sure you're clued up as sellers. All right, I'll come back later and I'm going to take the header tank out over here, because what actually happens is Oh, this is the other thing. They're going to give you a really short test drive, or they're only going to want to have a short test drive because they want to warm up the exhaust, but they don't want to warm up the engine. Because once the engine's warm, the thermostat opens and it starts pulling the coolant through the pipes. But they just want to take it for a quick test drive to warm up the exhaust and not have all this oil go into the engine, into the coolant system of the engine, because that's going to be harder to clean and put right. They just want to buy it, whip this out, clean it and put it back, and then clean up whatever oil they put out in the place and exhaust, and then they're going to resell it for good money. So I'm going to take that off and clean it, and hopefully the coolant won't have gone through the lower pipe, but we'll see that in a little bit.
And you can see fingerprint marks, can't you?
Yeah, in our case we've got fingerprint marks, but I've talked to the police and they've said that they won't do any dusting for prints unless it's like blood or anything. So I'm not too worried about rubbing those off.
You can see a good oily fingerprint. Where is it?
It was raining yesterday, so it might have washed off.
Oh, it's probably washed
There was
off.
some on the boot. Oh yeah, there's some there. I think you could get some good prints off those. I don't know if it comes up in the video, but there's some good fingerprints there, and there's some on the boot as well. I try not to touch those. They're not mine. It has been raining. I think there's some fingerprints there.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I'll show you what it looks like to clean it all out later. But the CCTV has caught around this. So this first one doesn't show them really doing anything, but I thought it's a good one because you can really see the guys. So you got some good mug shots there. You know, if you see this guy, then tell him to go away. I don't think there's much else in this video really. You got the other guy, but there's a better mug shot of him later on. So let's go to the next video. This one's interesting. This is the crime actually happening. So what you're going to see is down here, he's going to bend down and squeeze something from a bottle into that exhaust. There. Do you see that? I'm just going to step through that. So he bends down and squeezes something in there. So then on the next video, we're going to see him basically, it's going to flick over and he's going to do the same thing on the other exhaust. Now look at the exhaust, the colour of it at the beginning. So let me just pause that. Right, just first of all, look at the colour. There, do you see the change? Oh, in fact, oh, you can see it dribbling out. Let me slow the playback down to a really slow speed and just play this. Is that working? Okay, maybe that's too slow. Oh, no, there you go. Dribble, dribble, dribble. It's right at the bottom of the screen, but you can see all the oil just pouring out of there. And then for some reason he's fiddling with my tow bar, whatever. So that's the crime actually happening. And then I'm just going to move forward to the next video. And on this one, let's put the playback speed back to normal. Playback normal. So he's just coming back and you can see there's just smoke bellowing out of the back of the car. And that's because all that oil, which they put in there earlier, is burning off because the exhaust is hot. Now his mate who was hanging out is coming back and he's like, ooh, there's smoke coming out the back of your car. Let me stick my foot on the accelerator for you. So this guy just waltzes over and starts revving the accelerator. Like he's got no respect in the world and making puffs of smoke billow out the back. And then the guy's like, oh man, you got smoke coming out the back of your exhaust. That's weird. And he starts talking about some sound or something from the front of the car. And I've no idea what he's on about because I can't hear anything. Well, anything abnormal anyway. But they just keep doing this. And then later they come round the front, open the engine bay, and then start showing you all of the issues. That's me opening the engine bay. And he comes around and he takes a little look and he goes straight to the coolant reservoir and he's like, oh, let me show you what's in the coolant reservoir. We chat for about a little while and then he tries to start offering me a nice discount for the car because he's got a crash damaged car which he's willing to do an engine swap from. Okay, so I'm going to take the coolant box out, the header tank. So first of all I'm going to pop this underneath just to catch any coolant which will drip out, and probably quite a lot will, but it's just coolant at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter as long as the cat doesn't drink it because it's poisonous to them. So we'll tell her not to. So I'll just stick this underneath. There probably will be a little bit of a mess, but I'm not too worried. I've got a tray to catch it. I've got a flathead screwdriver and some gloves, which I shall put on now. So there's 2 pipes and a sensor which I need to disconnect, and then I think 2 10mm sockets. So I'm just going to disconnect the top pipe first. So you've got the top pipe here, and then down here, that's the bottom pipe going into it. We'll be able to see that better soon. And then underneath it somewhere is also a sensor. So first of all, going up to the top, I'm going to disconnect the top pipe first. So I just pull this retaining clip. Different cars it's going to work differently. This is a BMW X5 F15 model, and then I just need to wiggle that out. There you go. So that's the overflow hose, or kind of the return feed pipe, whatever. So I'm not going to get too much coolant out of that. Now the way that came out is going to be similar at the bottom, so I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to wiggle it out, disconnect the sensor, and I'm going to undo the 2 bolts, and I'll just resume the video in a minute once I've figured that out, because I'm just going to be fiddling around for a moment. All right.
Yeah,
That's 1 bolt out. Just pop it there so I don't lose it, and then okay. So with the 2 bolts out, it should, yeah, that moves a bit. But now I need to figure out how to get this actual clip off at the back. So I need to unplug the sensor. That's unplugged, easy enough. Just kind of pressing it, wiggling it. And then I need to get the little metal retaining clip out at the back here, which means I'm going to have to, with a great fiddle, get a screwdriver under there and pry it out. You see, I'm working blind, I can't see what I'm doing.
neither can we.
Okay.
You can just see a hairy arm.
Right, I can feel where it is. Now for some like Houdini magic, can I get this screwdriver tip to where I was just feeling a minute ago with my finger?
Aim and fire.
Missed. The cat's climbing on the engine. Meow.
You're helping us, are you? You are.
Every would-be DIY mechanic needs a
mascot.
a mascot. Right. I'm actually going to get a mirror down there and have a look at what I'm looking at. This is really confusing. Like, it moves in the opposite direction, but I think it does because it's a mirror. Oh, I can see it moving. I think. I don't know, I'm not sure. So if that way is that way, then that way. Our mirrors are so confusing. I'm so confused right now. Yes, I did it. I can actually see that's popped out. So in theory, yeah, I can feel that's popped out with my finger. I'm just going to move the torch out of the way so I don't drench it, because that is going to spill, hopefully just water and not too much oil, because what we want is for the oil to not have gone through the pipes. Okay. I'll tell you what, could you grab the tray and just pop it up here?
I can see it's dripping.
Can you see what colour it is? Oh, there it goes. Okay, look at that lovely clean fluid. Happy days. So that means that I think, you can see a bit of oil in there. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is just drain this out completely. And then
Oh yeah, look at that. Smudge.
Look at that, that's the oil they put in at the top. So oil floats on top of water, which is how this works. So it doesn't go down into the system until the thermostat opens and starts sucking out the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is spray this through a brake cleaner and rinse it with water and just clean that out. Ooh, careful. And then I'm going to top it back up. So the other thing I'm going to do is just, if we come over, I'm going to look at that and just see, yeah, that looks clean to me, no oil. So I'm not too worried about the overfill, you know, that's just gonna dry out, and that's clean coolant. So I'll just leave it like that, clean out the box, fit it back together, and then top it back up. And then with the engine warm, it'll run through. But I'll take it to a garage anyway, so I'll let them do that. Because I don't know what else they've done with it. They might have added water to the engine oil as well, in order to like create the kind of watery slime on the filler cap, which you also get with the head gasket. So I'm going to get an oil change. Okay, let's just hold that for now while I clean up, and then I'll start cleaning the box out.
Yay.
So I've got the header tank off and emptied. I've poured the crud away in an environmentally friendly way, and now I've got a thing full of, that's just tap water. There's a bit of screen wash mixed in there a little bit, so I'm just going to rinse it through with, well, I'm going to spray the brake cleaner in it first to try and remove the oil from inside there, and I'm going to rinse out with that, and I'm probably going to spray it a couple more times, rinse it again just to make sure it's really clean. So that's brake cleaner. I literally just pulled a thing of WD-40 out by mistake, so I'm glad I've checked what I'm using. So that's just going to clean it out nicely, because if you don't know what brake cleaner does, it removes oil basically and grease. So I'm just going to pour that in there, and then I'm going to put my finger over the bottom, and I'm going to pour a bit of water in the top. Stick the lid on, and then with my other finger over the other hole, Just shake it around a bit. And I'm going to do that a few times. And then once I'm satisfied it's clean, and you know, I can actually see that's not running clean right now. So I'm going to keep doing that until it's running clean. And then I'll put it back together and top it up. That's running clean now, so I'm just going to empty the water container and get some really fresh water, because as I said, there was a little bit of screen wash in there. So I obviously don't really want screen wash in my coolant, even a trace of it. So I'll just give that another clean out after getting some really clean water. I'll be back in a minute. So I've got some, oh blood, I've got some clean water, and I thought I'd just change my gloves, because the other gloves were getting a bit oily from the rubbish which was coming out of it. So trying with great difficulty to get some more gloves on. There we go. And then I'm just going to give it a final spray with the brake cleaner to make sure that it's well and truly clean. I got my dad to pick up another can of this on his way over, because he's coming over for the day. So I've got another can. If I use all of this up, that's not a problem. I do wonder whether this same scam was pulled on the previous owner of this car, because where there's oil in the top of the engine wells, when I brought it, there was also oil there, sat there. And looking at this coolant tank with this little pen mark on there, what that tells me is this has come off eBay as a replacement unit. So I wouldn't be surprised if actually the previous owner had somebody try this on them, because I never really figured out where that all came from, which was on the top of the engine when I bought it. So yeah, I reckon maybe maybe this car's been a victim of this prank more than one time. Right, I'm just going to give that another last rinse out. I'm just going to rinse it through water 2 times now with no brake cleaner in between, just to make sure I don't leave any contaminants in there that I don't want in there. So that's running through nice and clean now. The prospective buyer who did this to me still thinks he's in for a deal. I'll show you the text messages, but he was desperate for an answer. I told him I'll think about it, I'll call some garages, and the next morning, yesterday morning, he messaged me to ask me if I've decided yet. So in order to calm him down and to make him wait while I talk to the police, I told him I've got COVID, which is kind of plausible because I'm on the tail end of a cold. And I told him he might want to keep to himself for a few days to avoid spreading it. And then when he started hassling me more, I said, look, I've got a fever, I can't talk to you now, please stop messaging me. And then he said, okay, well, get well soon. And I sent him a love heart back. We've got a really nice friendship growing. I really hope that the guy gets arrested so he doesn't do this to anyone else. I'll share some links of other videos, but I'm almost sure that it's the same guy as on one of the other YouTube videos about this oil and water scam. Right, that's clean now. So the next thing I do is going to be to put it back together. So now that's clean, I'm going to put it back together. Putting it back together is just the reverse of taking it apart. So first of all I need to plug in the pipe and the sensor at the bottom. Obviously once I plug in the pipe I need to push the little retaining clip back in.
1 second. The dog's come out to join us. Go back in the garden. Go on then, in the garden. Good girl. Bye.
While the retaining clips push back. Okay, so dog's barking. So I've pulled the retaining clip back out because that managed to find its way back. And then I'm just going to pop it back down and then with my fingers just fiddle around until it slots in. This might take me longer than it should. There's a hole. I'm not very good at finding holes. I think that's in. No, that was not in. Okay, you can see what it's going to clip onto. It's like it's got to go in enough, but then the retaining clip fits around that groove. Clip back out. Okay, that was a very positive sounding clip, and now the retaining clip is back in, I think. Is it? Maybe it's not. I don't know, maybe it is. Yeah, it is. Okay, so that's back in, and now I need to find the little plug, and I need to slide it onto the sensor. Question is, which way around does it go? No one knows because I can't see what I'm doing. I guess the trick here is to not force it. Maybe I should have had a closer look at the clip before I started trying to put it in, because then I would know what shape it is. Ah, okay, that's on. I felt it clip on. So now it's just a case of attaching the top pipe, pushing it down, and then screwing it on. Yeah, and this car only had clean coolant put in it within the last year because it had a recall on the EGR valve from BMW. So they had to completely change the coolant in order to change the EGR valve. So I want to make sure it's topped up with nice clean fluid.
Again, this is something I'm not very good at, just finding holes. That feels good now. Alright, just going to do this for about 50 years, and then...
I'm going to top it up, not full, with just a bit of deionized water, which is what you use, if I'm not mistaken, to dilute concentrated coolant. And I'll let the garage put in the correct spec coolant when I take it there on Wednesday. So I'm just going to fill it up a bit to make sure that there's something in there, because what I don't want to do is, if it's warmed up, I don't know, maybe the garage leave it idling or something, I don't want it to pull through air into the coolant system. That's something you want to avoid. Right, that's plenty tight enough. Not going to come out.
It's nice and clean.
So I've got some deionized water. These gloves are already dirty. May as well just take them off. Avoid making other things dirty. That's just from touching the pipes in the engine bay. Okay, I'm actually going to spill this on purpose because I want to wash it all down. So, oh, I'm not bad enough. So I'm just going to put that to like nearly min. I'll shine a torch in there, then maybe that's... I don't like these tanks much because they're not transparent, so you really can't see what's going on in there. All you can see is the little yellow thing inside. Can hear air releasing as I pour that in. So I just want to make sure it's not dripping out the bottom. I don't think it is, but I will check that out and watch those levels.
Some water in there.
Yeah, I might just leave it at that. I mean, there was 5 litres there. I've probably put in like 2.5, 3. So I'm going to tell the garage that's what I've done, and then let them decide if they want to suck any out or just top it up with concentrate. And that's me done. Feeling a lot happier that the engine's not completely screwed up on this car.
Because it's my car and it's lovely.
It is a nice car.
I mean, look at this beauty thing.
I don't think we're even going to sell it anymore. It's no longer for sale. We're going to keep it for a bit longer until we decide what to do. Right. Cool. That's done. I'll let the garage do a proper clean in the engine bay, get the oil off the engine, change the oil while they're at it, do the oil filter because it's kind of due anyway. And it's going to be smoking out the exhaust for a while, I imagine. So once it's been to the garage, I think we'll take on a nice long drive somewhere and try and get that all burnt off. But I don't believe there's any other. In fact, what I will do is I'll clean the exhaust maybe. And I grab some paper to mop it up and just quickly spray the residue which is there. But my concern is it's not just on the pipe, but it's actually gone through into the back box. So I'll just grab some paper quickly. Yeah, okay. Kat's still with me, watching. I don't think any coolant dripped down for her to drink, so she's all right. So I'm just gonna spray this in there. I've no idea whether this is gonna come off because it might already be like burnt on or something. So I'm just gonna spray the brake cleaner on that and see if that will wipe off. Yeah, it's kind of, I'm probably gonna have to polish that out or something. It's kind of really stained the metal. My gut feel is it'll probably still smoke, and that's going to be because it's in the back box. There's a bit of weld there which I just caught some tissue paper on, which I've managed to pull off, but that's a bit of a fire risk, so I'm trying to make sure that's not stuck in there. I'll just do the same on the other side a little bit, but I'm not sure how much good that will do. And this is just about ready for the bin. Okay, that's me done. So I'm just going to tidy up and take it to the garage on Wednesday to finish the job. Thanks.